It has to start with a bang, you know? We can't. It's really hard to start. How do you start a podcast? I have no idea.
Well,
but we're just
for sure not like that, but
yeah, we're just gonna do it right now. Hello, my friends. My name's Dominic. If you're new here, we talk about usually. What do we talk about? Social media related topics, I guess. Building a personal brand. And today we're here. We gathered here to this very special moment of this very special podcast episode. It's actually the first one, in case you didn't know that, in case you didn't see that on the number 1 here. And today we talk about something really interesting with my dear friend, former business partner, enemy, and everything in between, Mr. Florian. Please say hello to all the internet out there.
hello, heyDominik.
Hello, hey Florian.
Or how are your fans called?
They actually don't have a name. A lot of people say they want to be called Dominators.
Dominators.
Actually, very interesting.
Wow.
Other people requested to be referred as to rebels.
Rebels.
Yes. So we're talking about an influencer who was an influencer before the influencer thing was a thing, and he's now back to normal life. How shitty is that?
Well, it sucks. I mean, if I can't make the turnaround fast, I'm going to have to start a OnlyFans. So,
an OnlyFans. Yeah, but it's a very interesting topic, and this is very off topic right now, but still, I think this very specific niche, and I say niche so I don't get death threats here, but it's something that's coming more and more, and people, if you don't know what that is, it's basically some adult modeling website, social media even, I dare say.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of money left on the table.
For sure.
It's still in the coming phases.
Yeah.
No pun intended, but I think there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah, I would call it a social media.
I have to put on this preservative here. But really, I think these topics are coming, and if you, I just can't leave it. But if you're interested in, if you want me to cover these things, obviously I'm going to, because
it's pretty interesting that even amateur porn is going to the social media direction now.
Yeah, and things are going
fascinating.
Things are going more free flowing, and I think there's a huge potential that's just going to be built more and more as time goes on. And right now, we're just at the starting point. We're right now back when MySpace first started, and we still thought it was a storage provider. Remember that times?
Yeah.
Like, do you have a MySpace? Like, why would I need storage on the internet? Even though, thinking about it right now, everybody has these cloud things. But it would have been even, or was it actually before MySpace was a thing? I think it was some sort of storage provider. Very far ahead of its time. But coming from that, actually, when you were this so-called influencer, there was no Facebook in sight yet.
No.
When was that?
Well, that was started in, I would say, 2004.
2004.
Yeah. 2003,
2004. We talked about it yesterday, actually, but I forgot it. Or did we talk about it?
Yeah, we did.
Okay, it was 2004. Of course, I knew that because he's my friend.
Well, yesterday you asked me when I started playing online poker, and of course I started playing online poker on the exact day I turned 18.
Yeah.
So that was 2005, obviously.
All right.
But even before that, of course, I was, involved in a lot of strategic talk, even though I never played for real money before.
Of course. Anyway, to introduce this guy, because probably we didn't really introduce you. Florian was a professional poker player for most of his life, from the early age of 18, not a brink earlier. And actually what happened was he got brand deals at a time when there was basically only brand deals for big superstars out there. For a lot of money, actually. How much money did you say?
Yeah, they were all in the medium 5 figures, I would say.
Medium 5 figures. So for all of us,
between 20 and 50K a year.
Okay, that's actually just thinking about it. The time back then, I mean, it's a lot right now, but the time back then,
just for representing a brand online was actually quite a bit of money. Yeah.
And. So how does the whole thing start? You were a poker player. Obviously, we're not the best. I guess.
Well,
Or were you like a, we just want to name it how it is. You were just a regular online poker player, or were you better than the rest?
Well,
or what's up?
So here's the thing with online poker. Obviously, the websites that offer the games, they take their rake out of the prize pool, the money pool, right? So what that means is that at the end of the day, only approximately 5% of people are winning long term in poker.
All right.
So and out of those 5%, I would say about 5 to 10% can make a living out of that. Right?
Oh, really?
So that's what is considered
like
a professional poker player. So I was a professional poker player, and I would say, around in the better third of professional poker players at the time.
Okay.
But I was nowhere near like world class or anything like that.
Okay.
So,
but you still managed to getting some decent amount of income. You managed to live off of that.
Yeah, pretty well.
Like me, he's a rebel. That's probably why we're friends right now.
Probably.
We didn't really like the idea of going to school and adhering to rules and stuff like that. You probably heard a lot from your parents and friends, huh? When you're like,
my God.
I'm off. I'm playing online poker. That's what's up.
Yeah, I mean, when you lead your life in a certain way, people aren't really surprised by anything anymore. So it was
after some time,
it was kind of a natural transition.
Oh, it was like already up until that point.
I started my rebel life quite early, I would say.
Okay. So. Was there a defining moment? Because I always want to know. Because I always think about myself. Like, when was the defining moment? And I was like, fuck this whole shit. I just don't want to do what you all say. It's shit.
Yeah.
When was that? I don't know with me, actually. I'm not too sure.
There wasn't really like one special moment, but I have a few moments that I remember vividly. And one of them was when I was about, I would say, 12, 13 years old, when I was in school. I lived like 100 meters away from the school, actually, right?
Oh, really?
Next door to the school.
Interesting.
But despite living so close to the school, I managed to be late every single day in the morning, right?
That makes sense to me, actually.
Actually, honestly, when you're a person like me, the closer you are to where you need to be, the higher the chance you're going to be late because you don't plan it.
Of course,
anymore.
that's very much the same.
It's
for
like
me.
when you just have to walk 2 minutes somewhere. It's like, well,
like 2 minutes. Just
I need to be there at 8, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna leave at 8, right? I mean, that's
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. So I was obviously late every day, and one day when I was late again, right? And by the way, this was a Catholic school.
Really?
Yeah.
You were brought up like
nuns and everything like that as the teachers.
You have to pray in the morning?
Sorry?
Do you have to pray in the morning?
No, but it
to
was
kneel down.
It was not. It was not like
play with the priest. Like I did. Actually, I played with.
There was no priest. It was only
not
nuns.
like that.
But
all right.
So I was late this one morning, and of course the teacher sent me. Didn't even let me enter class. Sent me right away to the principal's office.
Oh, that's how it works.
And the principal is a nun as well. Was a nun as well.
Okay.
Right. So
nice. Of course. Why not?
I remember being sent up there. She came out, and I was sitting there chilling, right? And then I had to walk in, and she said, like, okay, what do you have to say in your defense, right? And I was sitting there, and I genuinely felt like I didn't understand what the problem was. I didn't understand what the exact problem is if you come in 1 or 2 minutes late.
It was just 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So it was like
when the teacher hasn't even started yet, right?
Yeah.
Like, and
I mean, I understand for kids that you kind of have to, but
of course it makes sense. But in a world where everyone treats the other people with respect, right? I think I don't know. Of course I was not the best student, I would say in some regards.
And that's when they start to have you.
And
that's when they start to get you.
A lot of teachers hated me, and I hated a lot of teachers. So
okay,
it was back and forth thing.
All right.
And I understand a lot of things, but at these times when I had to visit the principal's office, I understood that I don't want to be part of a structure that mainly sustains itself through discipline and stuff like that without any further purpose. So yeah, that's when I knew that I will never want to work in an office or anything like that.
Okay, I understand where you're coming from. So it was clear from the start, kind of, from when you were 13, that you will never do that, which is interesting, because for me, I kind of had the notion inside of me at that time, but then there was a switch. I was like, amazing. I want to become a citizen, A plus citizen, go work, become a lawyer, do all the things like I'm supposed to do, stuff like that, went to the military. At the military, I was trying to be the best, just not. Don't get attention. Just be a good soldier. It didn't work out. This was probably when it first started coming back again. The military, when they put me in military jail, prison, whatever.
That's prison. That's not jail.
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of felt like a jail too. But anyway, we talk about something else actually in this very interesting podcast. We talk about your brand deals that you had as a poker player at the beginning. And I remember you told me one time that one time, might have been yesterday, might have been 10 years ago, even though we didn't know each other at that time, but you gained your notoriety in the whole poker community on a forum, you said.
Yes, on forums. Yeah. So this is a time, remember we're talking about 04, 05 here. Well, 05. Right? When I turned 18, of course. And 05 through 07, these years. And in Europe, there was no social media sites or anything like that back then. I think Facebook started in 07 or something like that.
Probably, but
really
that's all in America. And back at these times, there was like the globalization or whatever it's called was not really as it is right now, because I remember
it was before smartphones, so
way before smartphones and everything. Like, for example, if I remember that time, if I think about the US and then coming back here, it was like a different world. Going just in 05 or 06, going to America and coming back to Europe, it's like, wow, this is just like probably right now when we go to Japan.
Yeah, I mean, the younger audience, part of the younger audience that you have, they might not be aware of this, but even when we talk about 07, I mean, it's only 13, 12 years, but the technology has advanced so tremendously, much in those years. It's crazy. Remember, 05, there was no tablets. We had no tablets.
Yeah, I remember.
There was no smartphones.
It's really interesting to think about that, because you take these things for granted.
Yeah, and
right now.
And honestly, even having a laptop, a notebook was something special.
It was. I remember.
So not everyone had it.
I remember buying my first laptop, a used laptop, off of a friend, and I remember vividly the first time I got it, when I could sit in my bed with a fucking computer.
Yeah,
I was like, "What is this?
Yeah,
this is freedom. This is the lifestyle."
So you literally had to sit in front of your desktop PC in order to surf the internet.
Yeah.
For anything.
That was a normal thing.
For Facebook, for Messenger, for anything. You had to sit in front of your computer at home.
It's really interesting how attention span and how these things progressed, actually, because right now, if you think, okay, Instagram attention span pretty on the low, because you just take it out when you just have some time to kill. It's like barely anybody uses Instagram to actually sit down to consume content there. And same goes for example, WhatsApp or some chat apps, which are considered social media. But back in the day, I remember we're like, okay, after school at 6 p.m., we're going to meet each other at ICQ or at MSN or at AIM.
AOL in America.
Yeah. Just think about that. It's like a whole different world. And with that being said, it was not possible, actually, to get some influence over people really on the internet. It was not possible. YouTube was not a thing. There was no thing no platform where you could put yourself out there except for forums.
Yes,
which is a really interesting thing, because I never thought about it that way. That forums were actually the if you go 100 years in the future, and then the historians are gonna find the old laptops in the desert. Don't ask me how they got there, but they're going to be like, okay, how did this whole thing start? And It actually started with forums.
It started
thinking
with
about
forums.
it.
Yeah.
I never thought about it that way.
And the thing with forums is that most of them, they were anonymous first of all.
All right.
So it wasn't so much about building a personal brand, but you were kind of building this brand with behind your username, behind your you were creating kind of this role that you were playing.
What is it called? There's like a name for it in the community, like an avatar in a way.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
no, it's not what I mean.
Avatar is what you see, right?
Yeah, but like this is my online avatar.
Like
this is who I am.
You're creating like a character.
Yeah.
Basically.
Okay, but think about it. Actually, if I think about it right now, this real name thing and this really putting yourself out there to be a personal brand, to be me, and this is who I am, and this is I put myself out there. It's not been a thing of the internet that long, because if you look back at a lot of OG YouTubers, for example, gamers and stuff like that, they all still have like a username. They don't really talk about their real names. What's the big one called? PewDiePie.
Montana Black.
Or, yeah, whoever that. Oh, the German one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like just some. This all stems back from these times of the forums.
Sure. For sure, yeah.
Which is interesting. And what was it like? How do you get your fame? How do you get your authority in a forum? How did that happen? Because apparently you got these brand deals through these forums, so you got to have some sort of reputation attached to your forum.
So the things how forums work is that, first of all, you need to understand that it's pretty much isolated communities where you talk about one specific topic, right?
Yeah. So you have like a niche specific.
Yeah, you
forum.
automatically instantly super niche down already.
Yeah.
Right.
So the thing was not the problem that most people have right now when they want to start on the internet, which is finding a niche. I still have problems with that word. It's both correct, by the way. Just want to put that out there. I looked it up on the internet, and you, dear Angela, it's true. You don't have to believe it, but it's true. So don't fucking send me an email again. Anyway, what did I want to say? Oh, forums. So you were in a forum, probably the poker forum.
Yeah.
Or what was that?
The big international forum is called 2+2. It was the big poker forum, and then later it was also a German forum called Poker Strategy, which then became the biggest one. But anyway, what was going on in those forums was that they were basically the only place anywhere really where you could talk only with other professional poker players, right?
Okay.
And other than poker books that were written in the 70s, this was the only thing where you could actually get better and train yourself.
Yeah, and
interacting with other professional poker players.
And this is another interesting thought that I had a few days ago, actually. Back then, at those times, at the birthplace of the internet, kind of as we know it today, it was like it was a special thing to find somebody on the internet who was kind of like-minded.
Yes.
To find people who were really thinking the same thing that you were thinking right now, who were in your space.
And that was what the internet was about in its infancy.
Yeah,
it was about finding like-minded people.
Yeah.
And that's actually
it's kind of like the other way around thinking about it.
Yeah, it's completely funny when you think about it.
I remember, just shortly off topic here, but I remember the first time when eBay came out. I was like 6 or 7, and we ordered something from Germany. A Big Brother T-shirt, I still remember, and a flight simulator, which was the first stone in me becoming a pilot. But just to put it out there for the world to hear.
Brag,
yeah, just for some humble bragging here. No, but I remember he was from we bought it from Germany. I was in Austria at that time, and it was like a craziest thing. We're like, can you believe this guy's right now in Berlin? It's like 10 hours by car or something, or 12. Like, can you believe this guy's from Berlin? It's amazing. Or I remember the first website I ever went to was StarWars.com. And I was like, I talked to my dad, like, can you believe this website right now? This is in America. That's how we thought. So this was like a notoriety to find people from far away. Now it's kind of like the other way around. If you find somebody on the internet who's like, what? You live in the same small town as me? That was like the crazy thing, but it kind of changed
Yeah, it switched around. Yeah, but anyway, these forums, the thing was, as I said, you had like-minded people there. You were already super niche down. So what it means is that the content that is going to be talked about is kind of already set, right?
Yeah.
You're going to be talking about.
So you have the whole.
Yes, in the poker forums with professional players, you're going to be talking about poker strategy. So that frame is already set right there, right?
Yeah.
You don't have anything else to talk about there at all. So obviously, any content that you're going to provide is going to be about that topic. Right?
Okay.
So what it means is that you can actually build your reputation in this certain topic kind of fast.
Okay, and this is very interesting, and I think that has a lot of similarities with how to build something online right now, probably. But like, how did you start? Like, what did you talk about? Like, how did you start to get your
So the main
there?
thing is interaction, right? That it was like that in forums, and I think it's something that's overlooked today as well. When I look at a lot of people that want to be influencers, I would say. The most important thing, and that's number one, especially when you're starting out anywhere and you want to make a name for yourself, is you need to interact with people.
Of course.
Because when it's just a stranger, no one gives a fuck about you.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I talk about with my mentorship students. This like the main big topic that nobody gives a damn about you until at some point they do.
Why would they?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, just think about yourself. You take a look at, you watch my videos probably just because you want to gain some sort of thing from my videos. And at some point, as time, and that's another huge thing about building authority and something online, it's just the time factor, because people relate with people over time. And if you see a certain person over time all over again, you kind of start to feel something. Like if we were at a island together for 10 years, who knows?
Yeah, but anyway, so I started out just commenting the strategic questions or whatever that people put in.
Okay,
forums.
so even some questions. You put out some questions?
Yeah, as well, but I was mostly just commenting on other people's questions and discussing things. And keep in mind, when I started posting there, I was starting out as well, so I wasn't.
So you were still at the. Yeah, which is interesting. It has so many similarities because right now, for some reason, I think because technology and, for example, camera tech and stuff, it makes things look a lot more sophisticated than they are. And this thing might look like really sophisticated right now.
There's a lot of distractions, man.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a lot of distractions. But back then, you didn't have those distractions because you were kind of capped technology-wise and everything.
Yes. On a forum, all you can do is provide content. There's nothing else you can do.
Yeah, there's nothing. You can't polish content on the you can't. There's almost no chance of you even faking it to some sort.
It's almost impossible
on a forum.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
You need to provide value. You need to provide valuable content.
Yeah, and even back then, even if, like you said, you were just a beginner and just you shared your experiences and you just tried to be part of the community, that's all you had to do. You didn't have to be the best poker player already, and as you can see.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. The best poker players in those days, they were really quickly overtaken by other people. So anyone who was considered the best was not the best 1 or 2 years after that anymore, because a lot of those guys, they thought it has some negative effects for them if they're participating in community, if they share their knowledge, if they talk to other people.
Oh, so they were kind of like detached from the real stuff that was happening.
So they thought, they don't want to share their secrets with other people. But, of course, if you're not taking part in the conversation, you're not getting better yourself.
Of course.
Right?
Of course. Not only that, plus, like we said, the whole authority thing, the whole community building thing, and that's what I always say. You just have to be there, and if you don't have real content right now, you can just participate in the discussion. Like me, one of the first videos that I did when I wasn't really that big of a pro, in terms of social media, I was talking about the latest Instagram updates. So the first Instagram update video was born. It kind of took off, and right now that's why a lot of people are here. Greetings, by the way, to all of you. But still, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, on these forums, you would just comment, and over time, people would see that you are very likely to post something of value, and then, they would actually search for, your latest posts, and your latest posts would get a lot more views than other people's posts, and that catches people's attention over time.
And if you break it down, it's probably the content that was mostly responsible for all of that.
Being very active, interacting a lot, and the value of the content.
Yeah,
Those
and
three
this,
things.
if you think about it, this is going to be the same thing all over. History repeats itself. Right now, like you said, there's a lot of distractions. They're like, okay, I can take a shortcut, and probably it takes right now a little bit longer for certain platforms than it did back then, just because it was not cluttered. There was not so many people on there. I mean, probably yes, but not a lot on this extent, like on Instagram, for example. But still, the principles are the same.
Yeah, I think today it's a lot harder to really find people in a certain niche, I think, because in forums they were already like niche down, and today it's like anyone on there.
That's right.
Right. So I think that's a lot harder now, because when I post something on Instagram about poker, for example, right, I don't reach poker players. I reach random 50-year-old stay-at-home moms or like 13-year-old,
well, it
guys
depends.
from wherever.
It depends, because Instagram right now being like seven, I don't even know how many million people are on there. But if you really brand yourself to be the poker
you need to create
player,
your audience.
And it's interesting because in a way, you're going to have to make your own forum, and your forums being your profile, social media profile, wherever that is, be it on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. But you have to really, really brand yourself. And this is, a lot of people are afraid of that because they're like, I'm missing piece of the cake. If, I just want to be general. I just want to be here for everybody, but it's not going to happen on the internet anymore. It's not. Just create your forum, brand yourself to be in a very specific topic, and all of a sudden you're going to reach the people. And all of a sudden, by the way, if you're really branded, if you're really niche down, Angela, I'm thinking, all of a sudden you're not going to have algorithm problems too, because people are really invested in what you have to say, because it's like exactly what they want to hear, and not just some random thing. Okay, nice, you take a picture of yourself driving your fucking Tesla, and that's not, it might look good, but it's not what we're, okay, that's it. But it doesn't give me the extra special that I'm here for.
Yeah, I think a big problem is that, a lot of people just want to post selfish content because it makes them feel better. And on a forum, there was no way of doing that. The only thing you could do is provide value, right?
That's right. That's very right. I mean, it probably wasn't even in the back of their minds for people to.
Yeah, it was not a thing. It was not a thing.
Why would I be?
Like you just didn't care about the other people behind the screen there, right? So there was nothing like, getting likes or anything like that. So
that's right. Yeah, just think about it. Getting likes was the thing that started with Facebook. Not even on MySpace, my beloved app, there was likes. Nope, no likes there. People forget that. I even forgot that, but nope. Yeah,
I don't think likes are a good thing, but that's a different topic. But
that's a very different topic for another episode here. But let's get back to the main topic, your brand deals, your 20K plus brand deals that you got solely for being an okayish poker player.
Yeah, well,
and no, he was better than the rest, or he was top 10% still. I'm sure there's a lot of other people on your level, and a lot more people that are above your level,
for sure.
But they were not interacting as much in the poker forums.
Well, so what happened in the poker scene was right around that time, 05, 06, 07. There was a huge poker boom.
Okay.
It was a big boom, especially in online poker, and especially in the US, and then later in Europe. And there was a guy, and I shit you not, his name is Chris Moneymaker.
Okay.
And he qualified on the internet for $60.
Was it really his name?
Yeah,
really?
That's his real name. That's his genuine name.
I can't believe that.
Yeah,
I can't believe that. It's not possible.
It's really a fairy tale story.
Come on.
He's an accountant.
What about his parents?
He's an accountant from the Midwest in his 40s, right?
Okay, his parents must have been super crazy.
Yeah, and he qualified online for the Poker World Championships in Vegas, the World Series of Poker.
Okay.
It was his first big tournament ever, and in his first attempt, he outright beat the field and won the tournament for almost $2 million,
Okay.
which is a lot of money, especially back then.
When was
And
that? 25?
It was in
25?
04, 05, I think.
All right.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's very interesting how these things happen because in my mind, the world as we know it right now started right around that time.
Yeah.
With the whole internet.
And back then, keep in
Boom.
mind, information was spreading still a lot slower than it is today.
A lot slower.
So when he won the tournament, the afterglow of that, the poker boom, took like 1 or 2 years to really take off, right? It's
All
not
right.
like today where
You get
everything
like,
from 2 weeks ago is still old news,
Yeah.
But what happened is the story, especially with his name and everything, was so big that it just infiltrated mainstream media around the world.
Just one side note here. Do you think it was a plant? You think that was a thing back in the days? Because people are thinking there's some certain industry plans that are being put out there by the industry giants to actually try to manipulate the masses and manipulate how things are going. For example, if you heard about this van life girl, Janelle, this YouTuber who started from 0 to a couple of million in a week or something.
Yeah.
People think she's an industry plant planted by YouTube actually to spread some sort of narrative. Who knows? Or what's her name? Billie Eilish. There's also rumors that she could be an industry plant because she's exactly what right now they all are looking for in a music star.
These online poker sites back then, of course, they were trying to put as many people as they can in the big tournaments because they wanted their brand out there, and they knew if someone qualifies online for a few bucks and wins a few million, that's a mainstream story. So they were trying to put people in there, but of course, you can't rig the deck in Vegas, so.
Right. Well, that's what you think, but I'm still, putting the question out there. Is it possible or not? Knowing the ins and out of this industry?
No. So that was actually a real story, and it had even beat a very seasoned professional in Sammy Farah, and they pulled off some sick bluffs against him, and it really crazy. It's all on YouTube. You can look it up if you want.
Really interesting.
And but mainstream media took the story and ran with it, and made online poker really, really popular the coming years. And what ended up happening was that all these online poker sites, because running an online poker site has a very low overhead, they were making insane profits.
All right.
And of course, they didn't know where to put all the money anymore. So what they decided on doing was they were trying to find people who can represent their brand, who can be a sponsored player who can represent them.
So, what do you think? What do you think was the real intention behind that? You think it was to get more brand awareness, or to get more people into their poker playing apps, platforms? App was another thing back then, but platforms.
Well, both things. I think. I think their main drive behind that was that they were hoping that anyone that they sponsor becomes the next star.
Oh, that was so. It was like kind of even an investment.
I mean, you need to understand that for a company that makes hundreds of millions profit per year, which were most of these sites were making back then.
All right.
Interesting. Creating an online marketing budget that's maybe $1 million a year is
it's
really, really small amount. Right.
All right.
And for that, you can sponsor 20 players with $50K. So.
Okay. But just think about it. At the marketing departments of these companies, there must have been some very smart people, because they started things that were not a thing already, at least in my knowledge.
Yeah, well, the thing with that is that, the industry didn't have the best reputation. So they had a lot of, from my experience, what I could tell from behind the scenes, there were a lot of young people, a lot of inexperienced people that were willing to, the experienced people weren't, they were afraid. I think it's only my speculation, but because I never met anyone seasoned in these marketing departments, what I think is that, the experienced guys, they were afraid of ruining their career if they work with the gambling side. So they had a lot of young, savvy tech people, that of course are very keen on technology and stuff like that, but they didn't necessarily have the most experience in working with these companies. And these companies blew up so fast that, you know, when you're a startup and you're hiring someone as a marketing manager, and 2 years later your revenue is like 100 million, you know, doesn't mean that necessarily the guy that was the right guy for your company back then is still the right guy, right? Because that, you know, takes a lot of different skill set, right?
Of
to
course,
run a company
of course,
like
but
that.
still, the innovation that happened probably happened because of just, you know, Leroy just going for it.
Yeah,
and just
for sure.
don't overthinking it.
Yeah,
not
for sure.
overthinking it.
For
and
sure,
just
for sure.
like, okay, we just have whatever, you know,
for
whatever,
sure.
which is something I, especially online for the online thing right now, if you want to build a personal brand or anything in that sort, this is the approach to go. You know, this is what I do all the time. This is what actually held us back in my way in our company. If you don't know actually what's up, we both had a company, which officially I'm still part of. But we tried to start a YouTube channel for the for instance. We couldn't do it. We just couldn't do it because we wanted to have everything perfect. We were like, okay, even the intro, me saying, hey, my name is Dominik, this is Florian. We talk about this topic. Let's get right into it. And literally that was the thing. We couldn't record it. It was not possible. Yeah. I'm gonna send something here. I'm gonna show you exactly the clip.
Oh, you have to show the people. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's hilarious, and because people are always like, "You're so natural on camera, Dominik.
Yeah.
I want to be the same as you." No,
Yeah,
it's actually not what happened. No.
I can tell you, here's a secret here. I was actually so annoyed by this guy that I didn't want to record with him anymore because it was so impossible to record something, you know, without in under 2 hours.
Yeah,
just the
especially
intro.
like I remember the time, but like as soon as the camera started rolling, I started freezing. I just couldn't anymore. It was impossible. And you know, just looking at that, what's happening right now, this perfection. You know, you can see, and this was 3 years ago or 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
So today we're in the beautiful city of Vienna.
No, we're actually not.
So today we're in the beautiful city of Graz. So today we're in the beautiful city of Graz, Austria. So today we're in the beautiful city of Graz, Austria, and this video is all about. I don't know why I have that problem. So today we're in the beautiful city of Graz, Austria, and so what we're gonna do today is we're gonna show you the formula for the perfect Tinder opener. Take that opener along with some shitty ones. So today we're in the beautiful city of Graz, Austria, and this video is all about.
No, 3 sentences.
I know.
That's embarrassing. But
So we're in the beautiful city of Graz, Austria. And what we're gonna show you is What we're gonna show you is the formula to the perfect Tinder. So we're here in the beautiful city of Vienna, Austria. And
almost. We're actually in Graz.
Oh, we're in Graz today.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this was one of the big reasons why our beloved company at that time, you still run it. By the way, this episode is sponsored by TinderMentor.com. I almost forgot that. You know, if you want to get your online dating level to a very bigger level, a very better level, you know, the link down below, TinderMentor.com. He's going to show you because, I mean, just look at me. Just look at me. Yeah, it's possible.
I mean, you know what's up in online dating too. You haven't forgot, right?
I haven't forgotten anything. Yeah.
We can look at your beautiful girlfriend sitting over there.
Yes, we can.
Who's sitting there bored?
Sitting there bored, out of my mind, in front, behind the camera. Anyway, so what are we talking about? Yeah, we still haven't talked about your brand deals.
Yeah.
One question that I had. First of all, how did they contact you? How did it go about? What were the incentives? What did you have to do for those? Let's just say $35,000.
Yeah. So they were all a little bit different, but
how many did you get?
Three
brand
three in a
deals.
row. Yeah. They were all like for 1 year, and you know
From the same company?
No, 3
Different
companies.
company, all over.
The way it works is that you know you sign contracts for 1 season of the poker tours, like 1 year, right?
Right.
And after that, you know, you can basically negotiate with another company or whatever, right? It's kind of like in sports.
Okay.
You know, so when you when you're done with 1 year and you get a better contract while you're switching to another.
You just switch over.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how I did it. That's how it worked. And yeah, how they contacted me. Well, the thing, as I said, Chris Moneymaker, he won the
I
World
still can't believe
Championships,
that.
right? And all these online poker sites blew up, right? And they literally didn't know where to put all their money anymore. So they decided to sponsor some players, right? And the only way where you can find those players or people who can represent your brand well, there was no Instagram, there was no social media, there was no streaming back then.
Of course.
So the only way to find those people was basically on the forums, right?
Interesting.
I mean,
Very
there were some very high-profile poker players on the poker television shows, but it was, first of all, just a handful, and second of all, they had like insane salaries even back then, in the millions, right? So that wasn't really something that most poker sites were interested in.
So they were even doing the micro-influencer marketing. That's a trend right now.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. And, well, they found me on the forums and they contacted me really old school, low profile on Skype.
Okay. And like what, do you know how many other people were, like, let's say how many people were there on the forums in general? A lot of people?
It's hard to say, like, a lot, yeah.
Okay, and like how many people got a brand deal?
Not a lot. Not a lot. It's actually
an estimate.
Hard to say. Maybe 100 or something like that.
Oh, still 100.
Yeah, but globally, so
that's
maybe a little bit more. Hard to say.
Okay.
But yeah. But the thing is, like, this was something that every poker player wanted back then, because it's like, you know, when you're a professional poker player, you have to deal with variance and stuff like that a lot. You're not winning every time that you play.
Of course.
Right? You roughly win about 55% of the time,
right?
When you're a cash game player, for example. So it's kind of like roulette, but you're the house, right? You win long term, but you don't win every time, and you have like insane swings. You can, when you run cold, you can lose for months. So
crazy.
You know, having a contract like that is obviously very convenient.
Of course, it just helps you over the rough patches.
Yeah, it helps a lot. So it was something that was really sought after. A lot of people wanted it, but you know, not a lot of people knew how to attract these companies.
Interesting. And you were one of those people that are being called influencer right now.
Yeah, in these days it would be called an influencer probably. Yeah.
Did you like have influencer where people on the forums, like were people looking up to you, were people asking you things and whatever? Yeah,
well, that's for sure. And I was also working with a big network called Poker News, and I did like a few things there, you know, where I was answering questions from the readers and
oh really? So
like
you were being kind of as a face.
I was also columnist for a poker magazine here in Austria and stuff like that. So it's like
that stemmed from this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you also said you did like a blog. You did a vlog before vlogging was a thing, actually.
Yes. If you want to call it that, I mean, we called it video blog back then.
Yeah,
you know,
of course,
like what
of course.
Vlog
like I remember, before a blog was a blog, I had a band 12, 13 years ago, and there were basically no blogs, or at least I didn't know about it. But I was like, I want to do something, a diary, an online diary, and I had this section of our website called Diary. You know.
Yeah. And for the stalkers, by the way, the songs of his band are still on YouTube. I dare you to find them. But anyway.
Yes, I'm going to just link it.
But anyway, these vlogs were basically just video diaries, right?
Yeah,
me sitting in a chair in wherever I was playing on over the world at the time, and just you know, at the end of the day, recording a video and recapping my day. What happened in tournament? What happened in city? Whatever.
I was just I'm curious to know, what was the main focus of these videos? Were they like based around you personally, or like how did it go, or did you have some brand guidelines where you have to drop the sponsor?
Yeah. So here's the thing with that. You know, content creation wasn't really a thing back then, right?
Yeah.
Again, this was way before smartphones, and people didn't have DSLR cameras. It was just
Yeah, it
not
was not
something
even a
that
thing
people
back
just
then.
had,
Yeah.
They weren't really affordable.
How'd you record
either.
it with camcorder?
Yes, and I only had that camcorder because my ex-girlfriend, my fiance at the time, is studying film and theater. So,
Yes, I know.
they had to do some
She's
projects. And
she borrowed me this tripod actually. She
Yeah,
borrowed it to me
if she
for
sees
10
it, I
years.
think you'll have to return that. But
I'm never gonna return it. Greetings to you.
yeah. So, as content creation wasn't a thing back then, the companies didn't really know, what.
They didn't know what to look out for.
Yeah, they didn't know what to tell you, what to produce, basically.
Okay, which is interesting because right now, in my opinion, they think they know, and they kind of try to overregulate it way too much. I mean, I have some stories to tell about that.
Yeah.
About some companies that I've had the pleasure of working with, but they were just trying to. Right now, for example, a very famous watch brand, not this one, but a very kind of cheap watch brand that basically everybody out there is being sponsored by. They were trying to tell me some things. Yeah, they were like, first of all, they were like saying, okay, you have to exactly have your post like this. The watch has to be inside from this angle. If it's a little bit too much, it's not approved. You have to get them approved to post, and then after a few days, or like before you approve them, all of a sudden they started to really edit the whole caption, so it just sounded like a very bad commercial. And I was like, that's not how it works. And they were still trying to do like they think it works. They obviously they try to make their brand, paint their brands in the best picture. But it's not the best way to do marketing.
Yeah.
Because it has to be... The thing about influencer marketing, it has to be congruent. And this is why I think micro-influencer marketing is coming more and more. Because it's more congruent. Because these bigger influencers, they're kind of shelling themselves out. They're selling their souls in a way for adhering to all the guidelines that they get. So probably just subconsciously, but more and more... people don't trust these people as much anymore as they trust, for example, a regular person like you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Not me.
I mean, I think that influencer marketing is and was at the time really powerful, but not necessarily if you don't have the right partner. So I think that people don't account enough for the fact that it has to be content that comes from the creator, and as soon as you kind of buying them for your commercials, or like if you're telling them what to do too much, I don't think that the audience of that person or influencer is really honoring that as much.
And I think there's huge drops in conversion rates if we talk about the marketing aspect.
For sure.
If let's say if you give the creator 100%, you just the agencies or the brand's only job is to find the right influencer, which is a hard enough thing to do. But once they found somebody who aligns with their values and everything, and who they think is a right fit, they have to give them 100% freedom over content creation, and not 95, not 99, 100%, maybe 99. Let's say 99, because if they find some weird fucks like me, there's still going to be a 1% chance that it's weird. But still, I remember the Casey Neistat one. He kind of did the same thing with Nike. He took the budget. And he's like, whatever. I'm just going to take the budget. Don't do what you say and just travel the world, make a video. Guess what? It became viral. Of course, there's a small chance of a video becoming viral. But still, it aligns and it doesn't take away from anyone's credibility.
Yeah.
Anyway, did you have a contract? Did you have some guidelines to follow?
Of course there were contracts, so there were, as I said, very big companies at the time. Most of them don't exist anymore, but at the time they were very, very big, made a lot of money. So it was all done with due diligence, there were contracts and everything. But what was in there was basically two things that they really wanted. Number one was they wanted us poker players to represent them at the big tournaments, and what they were hoping for, wearing the patches and everything, was that we win one of those things and basically make it to mainstream media, right? So that was their like big hope. That was the number one thing.
Okay, that was so their main reason was just for you to win at the end and to hope, okay, at some point.
Well, that was the hope. I mean, if you invest, 25K in someone to represent you for 1 year, and then all of a sudden, you make it on the cover of tabloids and stuff like that. That's a pretty good investment,
Very, very good investment.
But of course, that's not something that's to be expected. So, what they really wanted as well was, of course, to spread some brand awareness, and basically just they wanted good ambassadors. They wanted you to be approachable at the table, especially for other players. Because players were constantly asking me, "Oh, what's that site? You're representing," and then you're gonna tell them, you're gonna tell them about their latest bonus offers or whatever.
Okay, so they kind of wanted to.
They wanted some faces,
some approachable faces, probably.
Exactly.
So
they wanted to be out there.
Because I believe, like for me, I'm obviously not. I have no idea about the whole poker world. But if I was to okay, I'm kind of interested in getting into poker, and then I just see these big names out there. No chance I would go into that. But if I saw just a regular dude like you,
and how it works in how it works in poker is you're actually sitting, with 9 strangers at the same table for 10 hours, and you're just, you're talking about life and everything on a poker table. So this is like a really good way of getting to know someone.
Okay.
So yeah.
And did you have, just out of curiosity, did you have to post some things in your links or in the forum or something?
No, that
you have what was it called? The forum, the footer or something signature that everybody had?
Yeah. No, funnily enough, they didn't put anything like that in the contract. So,
okay.
So the only things that were involved with these 3 companies were, first of all, to always wear their brand, right? Be branded. And second of all, to always be available for media interviews, because at these big tournaments in Vegas, and Macau and Australia.
So you were traveling all over the world.
Yeah. They sent me all over the world for the tournaments.
Oh, so these things came from this as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Just think about that. Yeah. It's basically every influencer's dream right now. Yeah. To be sent all over the world.
It wasn't just the money. The contracts weren't just the money. They were basically, you play 5 tournaments this year all over the world, and we give you, first class, room, hotel and treatment and flights and everything. So there was
really?
also
I didn't know that. I just thought it was just
yeah.
Oh, and wow.
Yeah.
So you were living the dream. So how does it feel right now? Now it's all gone. And how did it stop? Because that's interesting too. Because I think we can learn a lot from this. Because this thing obviously stopped. And
I mean,
how did that go about?
It stopped like a lot of things stop in history of mankind. Basically, politicians fucked it up and got too greedy. What happened specifically here was that, first of all, in the so-called Black Friday, how we call it in poker world.
Oh, really?
The online poker started to not be allowed anymore, or stopped to be legal in the United States of America, which is obviously the main market. There was, I think, I want to say, it's hard for me to say. I don't know exactly, but it was about 10 years ago. So
about 10 years ago. So this whole thing just lasted less than 5 years.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It wasn't the end of everything when it stopped in the States, though, because of course the sites tried to branch out to Europe and other areas, other emerging markets, because Europe was still a growing market at the time. But then here the markets got segregated as well, because we have very big monopolies here going on in every country.
Sure.
We have government-run casinos here, and so in Germany and in Austria, laws were being passed that basically prevent online poker sites from doing any marketing activities. And that's, of course, not very good if you're an ambassador.
Of course. So it just like that, it stopped to happen.
Yeah. It went from 100 to 0 in very short time.
So... Okay, and just to maybe draw some conclusions to what might happen to today's influencer landscape. Are there still influencers out there in this sphere?
Yes,
Is there still
yes.
something going on, and
So
what's
there's-
going on?
There's two things that two big trends in the whole sponsoring world that we see right now. Number one is that the sites, poker sites, they're still existing. They still remain out of all this, downfall that we saw. They're investing their money now in mainstream stars like soccer players and stuff like that
Okay.
that they sponsor because they want to draw in broader audience.
All right.
But I have to say most of the online poker sites now are also online sports books and casinos as well. So they offer like the whole thing.
So they're more sophisticated.
Neymar, for example, is sponsored
Okay.
now by a poker
Really?
site. And
Okay.
Ronaldo was, and
Okay.
small and fat Ronaldo. That's one thing that we see. And also models are being sponsored by poker sites because they have
Right.
big
So
male audience.
right.
So they're kind of not targeting as specific anymore. And the second thing that we see is that in 2020 we see that streaming has become a very, very big part
Oh
of
yes, my
the
friend.
whole influencer landscape. And right now I would say 90% of sponsored players are actually streamers.
Interesting. So they were still there, laying low and trying to see where's this whole ship heading.
Yeah,
And,
I would even, now that you say it, I would even say that the streaming is now what the forums were back then.
This new emerging.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I would
if
say
you're not
too.
a streamer, it's impossible to be sponsored. And back then, if you weren't on the forums, it was. So I think it's kind of like the modern version of it.
It's really interesting because all history always
Maybe I
kind of
should start a
repeats
stream.
itself. You should start a stream. I will start a stream, by the way, apart from this YouTube stream, which was amazing, by the way. But I definitely see that as well, especially as you showed me a lot of things from the streaming world because I didn't really know about it. But I think right now we're at the brink of an explosion in the next few years when streaming will really start to pick off, other than gaming.
I think what's the beauty about streaming is that I think, as we talked about earlier, back then when there was only forums, everything was more real. You had to basically impress people with your content. There was no way of faking anything.
That's right.
And then the whole Instagram, Facebook thing came, and everyone was just trying to fake it as best as they can.
And they could do it for a few years until people caught on to it.
Yeah. And what we see now with streaming, I think, because as you know, but the people might not know it, I'm a big streaming fan myself, right?
Yeah.
I consume a lot of content streaming.
Yes.
What you can see there is, first of all, you have the most natural interaction that you can have, right?
That's very much true. It's like bare bones. It's the
It's like
rawness.
100% live, first of all. And second of all, the streamers, the people, unless you're like watching like the top tier streamers with 50,000 viewers or something, like you're having an actual conversation with the streamer.
Yeah.
And that's crazy if you think about it. You can ask them anything.
And this is, it's just the unfiltered truth that a lot of people are dying subconsciously for.
And it's impossible to fake it because you're live.
It's not possible. It's not possible to fake it. I think that's where the ship's heading towards, even in the long term, at least in the mid to long term range.
Yeah.
Streaming being the thing that pops off, that that shows, and it's also a part of content, because ultimately it boils down to content quality. And it's one thing to create some super polished content on YouTube, and I think this is always going to be there. YouTube content that's kind of polished, and it's good that way. But still, I still think it's a little bit easier to pull off than to pull off a great stream. Where people are engaged with, where people are just get to know the real you and get to know the real content.
There's no way to hide really, but that can also be a good thing, because a lot of people that are very knowledgeable in a field, and right now keep in mind that streaming is mostly still reserved to the niche of gaming.
Yeah, right
mostly,
now.
but
right now.
we can already see a lot of other.
You can see trends
up.
if you look at the gamers, and if they are in the other channels that are not gaming, you can see a huge spike.
And also the gamers, when a few years ago, even 2 years ago, the gaming streamers, they would just play their video games like the whole duration of the stream. You can see that now when a stream lasts for example, 5 hours, you can see the first 1.5 hours he's just talking to his audience about life, about anything.
Yeah.
Then he's maybe playing for 2 hours and then they do whatever, right?
Yeah.
So, this is really something that I think is the future, and we can see that already in online poker.
Yeah, which probably, because since the online poker people are the tech savvy people, we could maybe see that.
Well, you know what
some
to say.
trends coming
they say
from that.
The porn industry is always
they are always
the first one, and
That's
you know
right.
who's always the second? The gambling. Most
There you
of
go.
the time.
There you go. With
And
the virtues of humanity.
The porn streaming already exists for a few years.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
Now we
That's
can see
right.
it with gambling as well. So I think everything's pointing towards the same direction here.
Very interesting. Very interesting. We're gonna see what's happening with the whole Instagram and the whole traditional social media landscape, because obviously it's not gonna disappear, because that now, at least right now, we thought about that with MySpace as well. You know,
honestly, you know, what really made forums so unpopular is that pictures are just more popular than text. But
now it's
when you think about it,
progressing.
I think that videos are also more interesting than pictures.
Of course, and they are a lot stronger in terms of building a bond with your audience.
Yeah, and that's why we can see YouTube. But what's even better than videos? Well, live videos.
Yeah, live and unfiltered, uncut videos.
Yeah.
But where's the thing going after that?
3D maybe.
VR. Interesting. Who knows?
Yeah. Or you can just connect to other people's brains. That would be
sick. Amazing. I'm still waiting for that to happen, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm the first to sign me up for that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, to conclude this whole thing, what do you have to say about the world right now in terms of politics? No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know if you want to know
how would you
that,
describe your experience? Like, how does it feel for you to have seen kind of the top of the game before it was a thing compared to now? And
so for me, it's really interesting because, as you said earlier, right now, about 2 years ago, I stopped playing poker almost altogether.
All right.
Because we started to travel a lot. We lived in Budapest, in Kiev, and in
people
Georgia.
might not know that, but some people might have seen you on some videos. But every once in a while, at least once a year, we tend to get pissed at Vienna, especially, or wherever we are at that time. A year ago, we moved to Budapest. Greetings to Budapest. After that, we moved to Kiev, of course, where we met some people,
lovely girls,
some lovely girls. Some lovely girl. I mean, one lovely girl. She's pointing the finger. Anyway,
just one.
Yeah. And then now you're back at the Tinder business.
Yeah, and I actually was on a trip almost 2 years, constant trip, because I just wanted to see something new, experience new things. And now I'm back in Vienna, and the thing is, now I'm trying to build my own brand with Tinder Mentor, which is basically online date coaching service. And this whole thing is now again becoming really interesting to me. And I'm now going to be back in the game, and seeing this big change to when I was last time active in, developing a personal brand in a totally different way though, but, still. For me, it's really interesting to see, and especially on Instagram, but also on YouTube, the thing that I see the most is that I still see a lot of people trying to fake it.
Oh, yeah. It's like even more than you might think.
Yeah.
The techniques are more sophisticated than ever. It's
and
like
I think
crazy.
That's not something that's going to be sustainable.
No way. People are going to catch on to that. I always kind of say it that, it's like a new form of communication, and people's subconscious minds, they're just catching on to that.
Yeah. I think that what people really want to see and have always wanting to see is just realness.
Yeah. Yeah, this is what it comes down to. It's like, I think it's always kind of been a progression wherever you look. Like, first of all, it started off, then something new came, then people were over the top and had to kind of overcompensate and, just testing out the waters to eventually come back to the core of things, which we kind of are coming right now. And, seeing as everything happens faster and faster in these times, I think we're slowly starting to come back to the core of social media.
Yeah. I think there's only two things that are important in this game, and it's funnily enough, it's also exactly what I think is important in online dating, because honestly, online dating has a lot of similarities with branding too.
Yes, of course.
It's kind of like the same thing. Like, you can also call Tinder social media if you want.
It
right?
is.
The most online dating sites.
And I'm sorry, but like for me, I think you have social media, online dating success with your profile and with everything, if your whole brand is aligned. If in your life, in your medias, and in your profiles,
exactly.
And if that is aligned, it's a brand with kind of a line going through.
Exactly, and
you don't have to have.
And what I always say to my clients is the most important two things in online dating, and you can really translate that really well into branding as well. But those two things are, first of all, you need to be attractive, right? You need to be an attractive guy, and that doesn't only mean looks, right? It just means like worth dating. And then you need to put yourself out there, right? And you need to do that in a confident way.
That's actually the same thing what I would say if you want to build a personal brand right now. That's exactly the same.
That's
what
I'm saying.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So full circle here.
That's like the similarities that I see, and that's also exactly what led me to my brand deals 15 years ago.
And this is exactly what's going to lead you to your brand deals right now, and to your own. If we talk about brand deals, that's just one piece of the cake. You can create your own products. It's exactly the same.
Become proficient in one area and then put yourself out there.
Yeah, it's easy as that. It sounds easier than it is, actually, but that's, if you boil it down to the most basic steps, that's what it takes.
I think everything that doesn't contribute to one of those two things, maybe not leading you in the right direction.
Maybe. Who knows? I mean, there's a lot of other things, like kind of getting more skills and kind of.
Well, of course, that's what I'm saying. Like becoming, proficient.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Anyway, it was a pleasure talking to you today.
Same for me.
It was a pleasure talking to you today, and I think that's it for today. My name is Dominic. Tune in. Write me down in the comments if you're interested in long form conversations like that with my dear friend Florian, for example. With other influencers, maybe with other interesting people from all around the world. I'd be happy to fly to the North Pole. I'd be happy to see one of the influencers who were doing things there, or brands who are doing things there. Also the South Pole, of course. We're not discriminating against anybody. Anyway, tune in. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. That's basically all I can say. I don't know how to start a podcast. I don't know how to end the podcast. I don't have a name for it. But